Hello, you're watching Outsiders. I'm James Morrow, back on deck again this week, as always, with Rowan, you want fries with that, Dean, and Rita, cooking with gas Panahi. Hey, so, have I got a great, tasty little story for you? It's all about Joe Biden and cannibals and xenophobia and a credulous media that simply refuses to do its fact-checking job of anything the Democrat president says. You're gonna love this. Now, if you watched the U.S. Report with James Morrow Friday night at 8 p.m., you would, 8 p.m., the U.S. Report, you know the one, you would have heard Joe Biden telling a tale about his late Uncle Bosie, a World War II veteran who met a, well, shall we just say, a grisly end, according to him.
We called him Uncle Bosie. He was shot down. He was in the Army Air Corps before there was an Air Force. He flew single-engine planes, reconnaissance flights over New Guinea. He had volunteered because someone couldn't make it. He got shot down in an area where there were a lot of cannibals in New Guinea at the time. They never recovered his body, but the government went back when I went down there, and they checked and found parts of the plane and the like.
I'm sorry, what? Cannibals? Now, not surprisingly, this story has become a new feature of Biden's campaign speeches. In fact, he made similar remarks to this at least twice in the past 24 hours, making Uncle Bosie and the Cannibals, sounds like a really good band there, putting it up there in the pantheon of bogus Biden stories like his often repeated story of the fake train conductor, or all the times he whipped up a tale about a small kitchen fire at his home in Wilmington to sound like something like the 1851 Great San Francisco Fire. Now, let's break this down here because there's a lot more going on than just the cannibal lie. Telling a story about your uncle being eaten by cannibals in Papua New Guinea, look, I'm going to say it right here. This sounds a bit like the sort of thing that might be called, if somebody else said it, xenophobia, or even racism. I mean, those PNG folks, they'd be cannibals? What? Particularly when it has been called out by PNG academics, with academics and officials saying that, quote, hey, we wouldn't just eat any white man that fell out of the sky. Great response there with a bit of humor from them. And even CNN now has called the claims false and misleading, because apparently poor Uncle Bosie went missing over the Pacific Ocean, not over the supposedly cannibal-infested jungles of Papua New Guinea. And I'm sorry, also, we've got to take this further, because could you imagine, just think about this, the reaction of the press of a certain Donald J. Trump had claimed that one of his families falsely had been eaten by the natives in PNG? I mean, the national conversation, we wouldn't hear the end of it. Remember back when the coronavirus was on, you know, and don't worry, by the way, I'm not going to start talking about vaccines, but Joe Biden said that, and he slammed Trump for being xenophobic when he talked about where it came from.
But neither should we panic or fall back on xenophobia. Labeling COVID-19 a foreign virus does not displace accountability for the misjudgments that have been taken thus far by the Trump administration.
Note how much more coherent back then Joe Biden sounded. Different guy. But anyway, let's put that to one side, because we will also never forget how the media piled on Trump for telling this simple, incontrovertible truth.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China.
China. Yeah, look, I admit I played that last clip just because I missed the way he said the word. China. Anyway, you almost got to feel sorry now for poor White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre, who had to try and roll this particular Biden lie in glitter.
Why is President Biden saying that his Uncle Bosie was eaten by cannibals.
Look, I was there. I think you traveled with us too to Pennsylvania. I'm not sure if you were there at the memorial in Scranton. The president had a emotional and I think a symbolic moment.
Oh, yes, it was an emotional moment, a symbolic reaction. We all do that, symbolic moments where we just go, yeah, that's what he was eaten by cannibals. But apparently, it is the press's fault, according to KJP, for asking the hard questions.
Why is he saying that his uncle was eaten by cannibals? That is a bad way to go.
He lost his life. It's not, look, I'm not, we should not make jokes about
It's
this.
not.
Wait.
President Biden said that his uncle was eaten by cannibals.
I mean, your last line, it's for a laugh. It's for a funny statement. And he takes this very seriously. His uncle, who served and protected this country, lost his life serving. And that should matter.
As Joe himself might say, Uncle Bozy getting eaten by cannibals, not a joke.